Following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFfangeek coming to you with a special Transformers discussion video that I've been wanting to do for the past few weeks now since I started collecting the Transformers figures from the Legacy line that I wanted to get. And I already mentioned doing this video on two of my friends' channels. Shoutouts to JJ Prime Reviews and the Judge of Lord Master Starscream on live streams that they did. I mentioned wanting to do this discussion video, and it's one that I hope you guys will enjoy hearing me babble on about. So you can tell by the title of the video and also in the thumbnail, I took photos of Kingdom Hot Rod and Legacy Iguanas, who I still have in their boxes at the time of this discussion video's recording. So the focus of this discussion is why I do not like at all, for the new Legacy line, Hasbro and Takara Tomy deciding to eliminate plastic being used on the packaging that Transformers figures come in by having open windows. So there are basically three primary factors as to why I hate the open window packaging that's being used on the Transformers Legacy figures, and I will discuss them in just a moment. So before we do that, I just want to touch on the reason why we're having this discussion in the first place. Last year in 2021, Hasbro announced that they were going to start in 2022, the current year that we are in removing plastic from the packaging of Transformers action figures, and we got a preview of what that was going to look like last year with the release of this figure. This is it's here in the United States. It's the Target exclusive Transformers Buzzworthy Origins Bumblebee. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors were amazed and made the joke that Hasbro and Takara Tomy finally made a Bumblebee figure that everyone wanted to get, because this is based off of Bumblebee's appearance in the G1 cartoon, where he has his Cybertron on vehicle mode of a hover car. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors, myself included, thought that a figure of Bumblebee that had this vehicle for an alt mode was never going to be created. But infamously, when this figure was released last year in 2021, collectors everywhere were startled to discover that the figure had an open window with no plastic protecting it. And now, with the Legacy line in full swing, it has now been revealed that the Origins Bumblebee figure that was released last year was a preview for how Transformers figures are going to start being packaged by Hasbro and Takara Tomy. So, here we have another buzzworthy figure that's also a part of the Legacy line, as you can see here on top. This is Autobot Silver Streak. He's based off of the blue Diaclone version of the character Blue Streak, and photos have appeared on YouTube. Shout out to Patriot Prime Reviews. He took a photo that at his local Target store he found 2 copies of Blue Streak that were headless, and so we will get into that in just a moment. So as my mind starts to elude me, the three factors that I want to discuss about why I hate open window packaging and why I actually prefer, if Hasbro and Takara Tomy want to go remove plastic from the packaging on Transformers figures, that's fine. They can do it like they're doing with the Generation Selects line or with the Leader class figures in the Studio Series 86 line, where the Transformers figures are entirely closed boxes. I mean, if they want to remove plastic, that's fine. But what they're doing here with the Legacy line compared to what they did in previous lines, such as Kingdom, where they just reduced the size of the window, and now they've gone and removed the plastic window entirely. I mean, what was Hasbro's thinking process behind that packaging choice? So that further delay, the three factors that I want to talk about as to why I think that this is a horrible packaging idea, having open windows on here. The first factor that I want to discuss about why I think this is a terrible idea for packaging Transformers figures is the dust factor. With these open windows, these Transformers figures, there is nothing stopping dust particles, dirt particles. There's nothing stopping these Transformers figures from becoming dusty and dirty. And compared to Transformers figures that are sold inside closed boxes, such as Generation Selects Legacy, lift ticket is what this figure is. Compared to a Transformer that's sold in an entirely closed box like this, having this open window, the figure basically is no longer... Even if you find the figure in quote-unquote mint condition, the only way you're going to prevent this figure from getting dust or dirt particles on it is if you put it inside another container and leave it in there, unexposed to the elements, and hope that someone believes you when you say that it's mint condition, there's no dust on it all. But yeah, it's going to be next to impossible to try and keep these figures. If you're a Transformers collector who likes to keep your Transformers figures inside the box and in mint condition, so that way one day you can sell them and hopefully get a profit for them, these new Legacy Transformers figures, it's going to be a daunting task trying to keep these figures nice and clean. But yeah, that's the first factor why I hate these open window packages, is the dust factor. There's nothing stopping these figures from collecting dust, and my camera's not going to collect it on here, but I got a Legacy Blue Streak a couple of weeks ago, and there's already a layer of dust sitting on top of him, since I haven't, even though he's still in his packaging, I haven't taken him out and reviewed him yet. But yeah, there's already a layer of dust on Silver Streak, because where I have him, he's standing upright. And for the Legacy figures that I've collected so far, I'm keeping them on my pile of Transformers figures that I have behind me. For now, I'm keeping them like this, lying on the floor where there's no dust particles that can get to them, so that they'll hopefully be in somewhat of a clean state when I finally get around to review them. The one that I'm having the most difficult challenge keeping clean right now is Bulkhead, because even when I lay his box down, there's still a chance of dust and dirt getting inside the open window with this space right here on the top of the box. So that's the first factor why I hate these open window packaging, is the dust factor. There's nothing stopping these figures from getting dusty and dirty, even if you leave them inside the packaging, thanks to these stupid open windows. These rotten open windows. Ugh. It's very rare for me to get angry or upset, but this is one thing that irritates me all the way down to my soul. I abhor these open windows. I mean, come on, Hasbro, Takara Tomy. Did you honestly think that this was a good idea? Yeah, you must have, since you did it. But come on. With these figures having an open window and being exposed to the possibility of getting covered by dirt and dust, the chances of these figures still being mint and box condition, even just a few months from now, let alone a few years from now, those chances are greatly reduced now. So that's why I hate the dust factor on these open windows. Now, the second factor is one that you will find more disgusting than the dust factor. And the second factor, the second reason why I hate these open window packagings, is the germ factor. The germ factor basically results from the fact that, for all you know, when you see this Transformers figure at the store for the first time, you go, "Oh wow, that looks really good." But what you have no idea is that, for all you know, the person before you looked at this thing and was like, "Oh, what's this thing here? And so that is the germ factor right there. For all you know, the person who looked at these Transformers figures before you could have accidentally sneezed on the action figure, and now there's a layer of germs covering the Transformers figure on here. And the reason why I'm wiping the box is that fake sneeze I just did to demonstrate actually accidentally spit on this. So yeah, even if I wanted to return this, I just accidentally sprayed my own germs on this thing. So yes, for all you know, the person before you, they could have picked their nose and then touched the Transformers figure on here, and now what the human eyeball can't see is germs are now on the surface of this Transformers action figure. Yeah, I really am disgusted that there is nothing stopping the germ factor from taking over these open window Transformers action figures. And for all you know, the person who stared at the Transformers figure before you, even if they didn't sneeze on it, even if they just breathed on it, for all you know, they could have been recovering from a cold, and their immune system could be stronger than your immune system. So yeah, if you find these Transformers figures at the stores, I highly recommend that you cover your face or whatever you do, do not actually touch the Transformers figure itself with your fingers. Do not do that at all. I do not recommend and actually touching the figure with your fingers, because for all you know, someone who could have poked their nose could have touched the figure on there first, and you cannot see what was left behind. So yes, that is the second reason why I absolutely abhor these open window packaging Transformers figures, is because of the germ factor. For all you know, someone could have made physical contact, or left a part of themselves behind on these Transformers figures, and so for all you know, these Transformers figures are no longer squeaky clean. They're no longer unexposed to any potential bacteria or germs floating around. So yes, I really hate these open window packagings because of the germ factor, where these Transformers figures probably are no longer sanitary, for all you know. So those are the first two factors. Now, the first two factors, you could argue that you could kind of be in control of those factors, because with the dust factor, you could easily, if you have a dusting spray, or if you manage to keep these inside another container, you could keep the dust factor out if you decide to seal the entire box inside another casing. The germ factor, you don't really have too much control over that one, but you can reduce the chances of the germ factor by ordering the Transformers Legacy figures off of the internet instead of buying them in store, because at least if you order them off of a website, chances are the number of factory workers that have passed by these Transformers figures at a warehouse aren't as numerous as the crowds of people who pass by the shelves at a Walmart or Target store where these Transformers could be. So you can at least reduce the germ factor a bit by ordering online. But unfortunately, it's a 50-50 gamble, even ordering online, that nobody has accidentally sneezed or coughed on any of these Transformers figures. Now, the third factor is one that unfortunately you can't really control, even if you order online, because this could also happen by accident, where a Transformers figure could break and nobody does anything about it. So the third factor that I'm talking about, I touched on it a moment ago. The third factor, which is why I think this is one of the most terrible ideas in the designing of Transformers packaging ever, these open windows. The third factor is what I call the theft factor. And what the theft factor, it basically speaks for itself if you know what the definition of the word theft is. Basically, with these open window packaging, there is nothing stopping anybody from reaching in and grabbing out these Transformers figures and stealing them and leaving an empty box on the shelf. And there's already been stories, there's already been photos that have been posted on the internet where the first two Transformers figures that had these open window packagings, they actually weren't in the Legacy line, they were in the Studio Series Bumblebee movie line, the first Studio Series Core Class figures, which were the Core Class Bumblebee movie Ravage and Shockwave figures. People have found empty boxes of those figures on the shelves at Walmart stores, where people just reached in, stole the figure, and left the box on the shelf, and the employees at Walmart left the empty boxes on the pegs for people to buy. So you're basically paying $10 to buy just the box that these Core Class Transformers figures come in. And out of all the size classes of Transformers figures, someone pointed out that the Core Class figures are the ones that are the most tempting for thieves to try and steal, because they're just barely small enough that you could take it out of the box, steal it, and put it inside your pocket and walk it out of the store without anybody seeing you take it. But there are people who are desperate enough and insane enough that they would steal just about any size class of Transformers figure, regardless of how big or bulky it is, and they could walk out with it in hand. But yes, as I mentioned, I touched on it at the beginning of the video, but shout out to Patriot Prime Reviews. He posted a photo on his YouTube channel that he found 2 copies of Silver Streak at his local Target store that were decapitated. People reached in and stole the heads off of the Silver Streak figures, and the reason why it's easy to steal the head off of this figure is because Silver Streak is mold mates with the Earthrise Datsun Autobot mold. Silver Streak's the 5th use of this mold, and the robot mode head is attached to the figure on a ball joint on the neck, so you have full range of the head. And yes, it's been easy for people to reach in and steal Silver Streak's head because of that ball joint. Right? And unfortunately, you don't really have too much control over the theft factor because you can't really stop someone from stealing. You could report them to a store employee or store manager if you actually witness them stealing it, but unfortunately these days, part of the reasons why the theft factor is a little scary is because people who are desperate enough to steal, you don't know if they're armed or if they're even dangerous, so it's risky to approach someone like that. But from what I've seen, in the hours I've spent browsing around eBay, there aren't too many figures that are core class figures that are being sold out of the box by scalpers. So for now, it appears people who are stealing the core class size Transformers figures, they're stealing it just so they can get a copy for themselves for free without having to pay for it. So the theft factor is not only damaging to collectors, but it's also damaging to the retail outlets and the stores trying to sell these products, because if someone steals the figure and an empty box is left on the shelf, from what I've seen with the photos of the Core Class Studio Series Bumblebee movie Sound Shockwave and Ravage figures being stolen in empty boxes left on the pegs, Walmart is slowly developing an even worse reputation than what they had before, with employees blatantly leaving the boxes on the shelves. And Walmart's reputation of trying to sell at full retail price empty boxes without any products inside of them, people are just going to stop buying from Walmart altogether and take their business elsewhere. But also, if the action figure is stolen and there's nothing but an empty box left on the shelf, if the companies do the honest route and take the empty boxes off not wanting to get a bad reputation of selling empty boxes for full retail price, that's basically stolen merchandise lost, and that's money that the company has lost altogether. At my job, products that are stolen, and it hurts the company when the products are stolen, because the lost money translates into the company losing money as a whole, and the potential for employees to suffer financially from the theft as well. Also, thievery is a crime that has never been accepted throughout history, even though people still unfortunately see a need to do it to this day. Because they think there's no way they can get the money to buy the product that they want to steal. I have to say this: I've always believed that stealing is a horrible crime to commit, and I've tried my best to never steal anything at all. I can't remember the last time if I ever stole something. Might have been when I was just a tiny little kid in elementary school. But yes, as a Christian, I believe in that one of the 10 Commandments, "Thou shalt not steal." I believe there's a lot of truth into that, and not stealing anything. But yeah, the theft factor is financially the most damaging factor that affects these open window boxes. So yes, if I were at Hasbro and Takara, I would have gone with the route that they did with some of the closed box Ox Transformers figures, such as Coronation Starscream. If all of the size classes in the Transformers Legacy line had done like they did with the leader class size, where with G2 Laser Optimus Prime and Galvatron, it's a closed box and you have artwork filling out the whole front of the box. I would have preferred if they would have done that with all the size classes in the Legacy line instead of these open windows, because those three factors alone, the dust factor, the germ factor, and the theft factor, they really reduce the chances of you finding these Transformers figures fully intact, uncleaned, and germ-free. Even much more so than we got with Transformers figures in previous lines, such as the Kingdom line. Now, I know the main reason why this is being done is because, as environmentalists have been pointing out over the past decade, that out of all the materials that human beings go through, plastic is one of the worst ones to get rid of. It's one of the worst ones that pollutes the environment, and so for toy manufacturers like Hasbro and Takara Tomy, getting rid of the packaging on Transformers figures is their way of saving the environment, and I'm all for it. And I am honestly all for that. I support people who want to try and save the environment. I hate pollution. I hate garbage. In fact, I get disgusted throwing my own trash out every week. But still, to try, when you have the option of this, having a fully cardboard box encase the Transformers figure inside, so you reduce the chances of dust, germs, and thieves damaging the products, and you go for this open window packaging instead. No, that is inexcusable by all means. So thank you guys all so much. I apologize for ranting for so long, but this has been my discussion video on why open window packaging on Transformers figures is a horrible idea. Yeah, hopefully I will get back to doing reviews hopefully tomorrow on Easter Sunday. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the TFfangeek, and remember to please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.